Today in Grow a Garden in Roblox, we have my updated trade guide for the Zen update, and this is probably the last update before the new corrupted event that's going to drop on Saturday. If this video is useful to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. Become part of the first 100k OGs. We're growing about 2,000 subs a day. We're going to be past 100k soon, so get in quick. And without further ado, let's get into the video. And the first pet we're going to talk about are age 75 pets. Age 75 pets have continued to be desirable, but the problem is they've become more and more common because now we have lots of gear like the medium treat to increase the speed with which pets age. Not to mention the fact that people are incentivized to age their pets for pet mutations. Age 75 pets have lost a lot of value. They used to be S tier, but they've dropped all the way down to the bottom of A tier. And I don't see this descent stopping anytime soon. Moving on to the Kappa, this new pet has dropped down to the B tier. As more and more Zen eggs are opened in the hunt for the Kitsune, these are becoming more common and less desirable. Also in the B tier, but above the Kappa, is the Ankylosaurus. With the eggs rotating out of the game, they're becoming a little bit rare, so it's holding its value around that rank. Now the Axolotl is moving up to the bottom of the C tier. It works really well with the summer fruits in the current Tranquil event, and I don't see that changing with the corrupted event, so the Axolotl is useful for duplicating fruits. Then we have the Bear Bee, the poor Bear Bee pulling up near the bottom of the D tier. It's pretty easy to get his mutation now, so he's just not that valuable. Maybe one day that value will increase, but for now, he's down there. But you know who's not down there? You have this guy right here, the Disco Bee, who's holding up the top of the S tier slot. The Disco Bee had a sudden drop in value when there was a rumored spray for the disco effect, which actually did come into the game for a short time, but now that the spray has been removed, the Disco Bee is maintaining its value. In fact, there was a jump as everyone bought up the Disco Bee. And the Blood Hedgehog has seen a very similar increase, putting it pretty high up in the beer tier. Yes, I said beer tier, my bad. The B tier. The Blood Hedgehog is a very useful pet for making spiky fruits massive. And I believe, according to rumors, they fixed the massive dino shroom bug, so now you can have a massive dino shroom that won't shrink when you pick it. That's just the rumor though, I haven't confirmed it. Continuing on with the blood theme, the Blood Kiwi has moved up to the bottom of the B tier. Everybody is hatching eggs like crazy, all in a hunt for the Kitsune. So as such, they're using the Blood Kiwis to hurry up the egg timers and get them to go faster. And now the Blood Owl is also firmly in the B tier for a very similar reason. The Blood Owl is one of the best pets in the game at helping pets grow faster and age faster. As such, everybody wants a Blood Owl, at least one or two in their gardens, to make their pets get older quicker. As we're going to see later, pet mutations can be very lucrative. Then we have the Brontosaurus, who has dropped down to the C tier. He's become a little bit undesirable compared to where he was when the dino egg was the egg to get, and as such, he's firmly in the C tier. The Chicken Zombie is a very solid pet, sitting in the B tier just over the Blood Hedgehog. A relatively rare pet combined with a really powerful effect, I think he's very desirable. The Dragonfly has been maintaining value even though the Butterfly has been destroying it in terms of its effect, keeping it towards the top of A tier, even above age 75 pets now. The Dragonfly is very popular with a strong effect, keeping it high in its value. Cooked Owl, still horrible. Still bad, still worthless, everybody has them, they're not having any value. The Dilophosaurus, however, is kind of maintaining its strong value because of its strong aging effect. And then you have that lovely bug that everyone is abusing right now, making those things spam their ability every 5 seconds. I'm not going to talk about that bug because people are losing their pets and having their trade privileges locked because of that bug. Don't do it, guys. Then you have the regular hedgehog, who is down here in the D tier, but after the hedgehog, you have the Fennec Fox. And the Fennec Fox, because of how rare it is in the S tier. He's below the Disco Bee, but he's up there. Personally, I don't understand, but that's what the market wants, so that's what the market gets. The Fennec Fox is still very desirable. After that, you have the Mole, who has a very useful effect, but he is down in the D tier. Same with the Mooncats, who have a very powerful effect, exceptionally desirable, but they're common as dirt. Mooncats are everywhere. I own like 7 of them, and it didn't cost me much to acquire, and other people are getting them. They don't cost much to acquire. They're useful, they're powerful, but they're everywhere. The same thing goes for the Moth, who's firmly in the D tier, a very useful effect, but again, a very common pet. Now we move on to Huges, which I always put in the SS tier because of the range of their values. Take it from me, the huge guy who loves huge plants and huge pets. Some huges are worth maybe a dragonfly, maybe a queen bee. Other huges, however, are worth multiple raccoons. That huge Spinosaurus over there, don't even ask me how much it's worth. It's priceless. Then we have the night owl, who is a very, very solid pet, but he's down here in the D tier. But you know who's not in the D tier? The ostrich, who's firmly in the C tier. Guys, if you haven't done any research on the huge ostrich method, especially with mutations being in the game, look it up. I am hatching pets over the age of 50 with 8 ostriches. It's insane. The praying mantis is overrated, sitting down firmly in the D tier. And you know who else has dropped precipitously in this game down to the D tier? The pterodactyl. The pterodactyl was once very highly sought after as one of the only sources of the windstruck and twisted mutation in the game, but now we have a spray and we have a mutation. It's just not that rare and therefore not that valuable anymore. However, what has slightly increased in value, still to this day, it's slightly up. It's up like 3% in value, is the raccoon, but he's still just below the disco bee. Personally, I would rather have a bunch of raccoons than a bunch of disco bees. I only really need one disco bee to make your mega plant, like that thing over there, disco. And then once that's done, it's done. But raccoons farm infinitely, making you infinite shekels. They're very valuable. They're the basis of trade value in my eyes. Then we have the queen bee, who sits right at the tippity top of the B tier, just outside of the A tier. Queen bees are really cool. They're a big pet. They're very valuable. Their effects are very useful. They're great in trade. Always have a queen bee. They rock. The scarlet macaw is firmly in the D tier with a useful effect, but not that rare. But then we have the butterfly, and the butterfly is clearly holding up the S tier, but right at the bottom. You only really need one butterfly for your garden to make your chosen plant rainbow, and then after that, butterfly has no use. But it is such a clutch, important use, and it's relatively rare. Actually, it's quite rare. It's holding up the S tier right now. Then we have the seal, who is a very useful but D tier pet. Then we have the red fox. The red fox has a pretty boring and mostly failing effect, but it's desirable because of its rarity. As such, it's right here with the queen bee. It's quite good, but not that good. Toucans have been nerfed. They're a D tier pet, but useful just like the mooncat. Now, the mimic octopus continues to be useful. It's a great stopgap if you don't have enough of the pet that you need for a certain thing you're trying to do. For example, when I didn't have enough birds, I threw a mimic octopus down there. He was just a worse bird. I mean, the bird had a 10-minute cooldown, and the mimic octopus had like a 20-minute cooldown. They're rare. They're somewhat useful. As such, they're actually in the A tier, holding up the A tier. Then we have ascended pets. I would put the ascended pet on average, probably better than a huge. I mean, your common huges like the lab or the bunny, those low tier huges, they're going to be worth less than your ascended pet. But your mid tier huges like a toucan or something like that, that benefits from being big with a more powerful effect, they're worth ascended pets. Your top tier huges, your raccoons, your dragonflies, things like that, they're worth way more than your average ascended pet. Now, an ascended dragonfly? Oh, that's just cool. After that, we have the bald eagle holding up the bottom of the D tier. They're common as dirt. Everyone has them. Maybe in the future they'll have value. But the T-Rex is hovering, and it hasn't dropped and it hasn't come up. It's right there in the middle of the A tier. It's really good. I think it's more valuable than a mimic, but not quite as valuable as a dragonfly. This is all subject to change as the dino rotates out of the shop and becomes rarer and rarer and rarer. And now we have our two most desirable pets in the game. The Spinosaurus has dropped a little bit because it's still available, but with the store rotating this coming Saturday, oh, the Spinosaurus is going to become rare. As such, he's at the tippity top of A tier, just outside of the S tier. And then we have the Kitsune that has dropped in value, but dropping from value from where it was to where it is like going 20 feet down Mount Everest. It's still way up there. As such, this thing is right at the tippity top of the game. You could trade multiple huges for a Kitsune. You could trade upwards of like 8, 9, 10 raccoons for Kitsune. It's insane. It's valuable. It's awesome. And that is my tier list, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit subscribe to join the first 100K OGs. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.